For the final time this season, if it's Thursday night, oh, yes, it is. Strictly Sports, College Football Thursday. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Floyer here with you for our season finale, if you can believe it, of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. I mean, I feel like just yesterday we started this whole thing, and here we are, season finale already. I mean, just unbelievable. I mean, time really does fly by nowadays, especially when you're having fun. And that's exactly what we've had all season long. And we're going to have our most fun tonight. Championship week, 8 games. That's it. We just have 8 games on the docket and our power poll, our final power poll of the season. Michael Bullock running late as usual. He informed me earlier this evening that he was going to be late for the show, and that he'll let us know when he's back in. Hopefully, he'll be back in very soon because, as you know, we only have 8 games on the docket, and with the way that we usually fly by these things, it may be too late, but hopefully it will not be. But for right now, though, I got my other partner in crime, of course, good old MF, Michael Fletcher. We got 8 great matchups that we're going to get into. Well, I'll say it like this: 7 exciting matches, 7 exciting matchups. One game, honestly, that I feel is meaningless, but we're going to get into it anyway. So it's really all I can say on that. So, man, I cannot believe already. Just crazy. And we're also going to keep an eye on a very interesting Thursday night football game on in the NFL, which is currently airing on NBC or the NFL Network, whatever tickles your fancy. Great matchup here. The Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. Stadium in Minneapolis. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, 7-6 right now in favor of Dallas, and we will keep an eye. We'll send you. We'll inform you of any breaking news as soon as we get it and it's deemed necessary. We'll send you that. So so with all that being said, let's dive on in. Championship week, here and now, and I mean it's our final time this season that we're going to get into this, and I mean I still cannot believe it, but you know it is what it is. So so with all that being said, here we go. Let's dive on in. First up, it's going to be the MAC championship game, the Metro Athletic Conference, the number 17 Western Michigan Broncos. They're going to be going up against the Ohio Bobcats. 7 o'clock tomorrow night on ESPN2. It'll be live from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, the home of the Detroit Lions, of course. And like I said, the game's going to be broadcast on ESPN2. And on the call for ESPN2, it'll be Adam Amin with Mac Brown, the former Texas head coaching great, who coached Texas, of course, to the national championship in 2005. And they'll be joined on the sidelines by the beautiful Molly McGrath, who was a big fixture here in New England. You know, she used to work for the Celtics, so she will be joining Adam and Mac like they had every Friday night all season long. And what a game they're going to have with the Western Michigan Broncos and Ohio Bobcats for the MAC title. And no big surprise, Western Michigan is the favorite, and they're a rather sizable favorite too. It's between 17 and 17 and a half. 17 to 17 and a half points for Western Michigan, and rightfully so. Zach Terrell and Corey Davis wouldn't be such a dynamic duo unless they knew what it's like to be awful. That's the way Western Michigan head coach P.J. Fleck looks at his senior quarterback and top wide receiver. The undefeated and 17th ranked Broncos, who face Ohio for the Mid-American Conference Championship at Detroit's Ford Field tomorrow night, just 3 years ago, were 1-11, if you can believe that. Terrell and Davis have played magnificently during this dream season for Western Michigan, which will likely emerge from the group of 5 and earn a New Year's 6 bowl berth with a win. Terrell has completed 71.7% of his pass attempts with 30 touchdown passes and only 1 interception. Did you hear what I just said? 30 touchdown passes, only 1 interception. His favorite target, Corey Davis, 83 catches, 1,283 yards, 17 touchdown receptions. Davis set the FBS career receiving yards record in the Broncos' 55-35 win over Toledo last Friday, which clinched the MAC West division title. Davis enters this title game with 5,068 career receiving yards. Broncos haven't been to the MAC championship game since 2000, when they were defeated by Marshall for the 2nd straight season. And Coach Fleck does not want his team to worry how the selection committee views his team. He says, I can't control where we are in the polls, but the Broncos are also ranked 13th in the AP top 25. And of course, in our power poll, they're ranked number 2 because we feel they're getting utterly, totally, and royally disrespected. Speculation is running rampant that PJ Fleck is going to leave for a bigger program, and he's made a point of addressing the rumors with his team. And why not? I mean, look at the job he's done. And meanwhile, for Ohio, they're also seeking their first MAC championship victory. They were defeated by Northern Illinois 23-20 in their last trip to Ford Field in 2011 and are 0-3 overall in the title game. Ohio won a tiebreaker over Miami of Ohio to capture the East Division. Bobcats have won 4 of their last 5, including a 9-3 win over Akron on November 22nd to secure their berth. Freshman Quentin Maxwell has taken over at quarterback during the second half of the season, completing about 56% of his passes with 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Senior quarterback Greg Windham missed the last 3 games with a leg injury, and his status for Friday's game is uncertain. Junior Dorian Brown, 794 yards and 4 TDs, and sophomore Malik Irons, 426 yards, 5 touchdowns, had the rushing attack. And veteran coach Frank Solich realizes that few people give his team a chance to win. And after watching Western Michigan dismantle Toledo, Solich knows his team needs to play a near-perfect game to win. I mean, they're plus 18 on turnovers, and Ohio's about a plus 5, so there's a disparity there. And that's really all there is to say on that. So there's really nothing left for me to say here. I mean, anything can happen on any given night, of course. There's always a chance for an upset, but not in this case. Western Michigan has played so well all season long, especially that game last Friday night on a rainy night in Western Michigan, and they got it done, knocking off Toledo like we knew they would. They beat them by nearly 3 scores. They're favorited by 2+ scores here. And with Zach Davis and with Zach Terrell and Corey Davis leading the way, how can you go against Western Michigan? I mean, they could be the next team of destiny. You know, we saw it with Boise State years ago. I think Western Michigan could be that next team of destiny in college football. I really do. And I think they take that next step with a MAC championship tomorrow night. And I think they're going to win this game. I definitely have them winning it. No doubt about this. I say they'll cover the spread. I'm going to go 34-17 is my final score behind Zach Terrell, who will have another solid game, and Zach Terrell and Corey Davis, who will add to his receiving total. No question about that. So that's all I can say about it. So give me Western Michigan. The dream continues, 34-17. Put them in a New Year's 6 bowl. Honestly, if I'm going to be real honest with you, that's not good enough for them. This team deserves to be one of the top 4 in the college football playoff. That's just how I feel about it. So good old MF, Michael Fletcher, come on in.
Yes.
You and I have been very high on Western Michigan over the last few weeks. We feel they've been getting utterly, totally, royally disrespected by the committee. And they should be in the college football playoff. But unfortunately, the committee, of course, will not have the cojones, of course, to do it. If we were on the committee, they'd be in, no doubt about it. So, but I got to ask you, Western Michigan, Ohio, Western Michigan, 17 to 17.5 point favorites. Corey Davis setting the FBS receiving yards record. Are we looking at perhaps the next team of destiny in Western Michigan like Boise was all those years ago?
Well, I mean, it remains to be seen if they're the team of destiny or not, because, any given week, any given team, but they are definitely America's darlings. I mean, they have definitely become the darlings of college football this year, and they do have that Boise State type run. Now, can they keep that going from year in and year out? I mean, that's going to be the big question, and that'll have to be answered sometime down the line. But as far as Western Michigan goes, you can only just focus on the job at hand. And the thing is this, MAC championship, the committee has to put you in at least in the New Year's Six Bowl. So it's not like they're going to get completely shafted out of here. Yes, will we like them to be in the playoff? Absolutely. But, that's just something that's a little bit out of our control, out of our jurisdiction. But to put them in the New Year's Six Bowl is a humongous accomplishment nonetheless. I mean, to either be playing on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day and knowing that you are considered one of the top teams in the nation to be a part of this New Year's Six Bowl, I mean, that's an ultimate dream. And for Western Michigan, it's almost like the BCS. You try to strive to make it to one of these big games. So it doesn't matter right now, from what I've heard, that if they should get in, or if they do make a New Year's Six Bowl, most likely they're going to end up in New Orleans playing in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, Anthony, if you really think about it, what are considered the big four? You want to be either in the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, or the Sugar Bowl. I mean, because those are the four that we used to live and die by. And then the other two bowls now they made it the Cotton Bowl and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Now those are they just recently got added in as the fifth and the sixth of the Big Six. But to be either in one of these four bowls, it doesn't matter which one it is. Chances are it's most likely not going to be the Rose, because, Rose Bowl, they traditionally like to cater that to on the grounds of either having them play Pac-12 and Big Ten. So that one's kind of out of the jurisdiction, out of the realm. So is sometimes the Orange Bowl is a little tough, because a lot of the times they either take an ACC team, an SEC, another Big Ten if there is one there. Traditionally, that is catered to them. So the two most likeliest bowls that if Western Michigan should get in to the New Year's Six, because we know this year the Cotton Bowl and the Chick-fil-A Bowl, or the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, is your playoff matchups. So you can't put them there. So that leaves the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, or you put them in back in the day, it was the Nokia Sugar Bowl. That's the bowl that I used to call it. I know it's now, I think it's like the Old State Sugar Bowl now. So either they're going to be going to, lo and behold, Glendale, Arizona, and that was the crime scene and the place of the greatest upset in college football history, where Oklahoma got upsetted by the Boise State, or you're sticking them in the Louisiana Superdome, the home of the New Orleans Saints, and that New Orleans has been a hotbed for craziness, insanity, and a Mardi Gras feel. So for Western Michigan to make one of these two bowls, or to make just a New Year's Six in general, is going to be a big spotlight on them. Because remember, not only because when you put them in the New Year's Six Bowl, the whole nation will be watching that game. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if it's on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. We're gonna sit down at the and we're gonna realize you and we're gonna recognize you as one of the elite college football teams of 2016. That's the ultimate dream. And yeah, for all of us, we would have loved to see them playing in the playoff, playing for a national championship. But you got to be hindsight is 2020 now. So they're not going to make the playoffs. It's almost a given now. They're not going to make it. With the way that it's been playing out. But to play on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day on ESPN, because all these games are going to be on ESPN, but to be playing on the worldwide leader in sports and playing in front of a nation that probably will be very amped to see you guys play Western Michigan, it's going to be an ultimate dream come true. And if for some reason you do win that game and pull off and complete that undefeated season, there is no doubt in our minds you will have our respect. You already got my respect. You got Anthony Floyo's respect. You got Michael Bullock's respect. You got Derek Ferrera's respect. We respect you guys. You guys have won us over. Even though I think the rest of the season and a lot of people were a little disappointed and heartbroken over the way the season has ended, because of, I think we could call it corporate greed more than anything else. But to us, in the grand scheme of things, I'm pleased where Western Michigan has been, and they've been such a great story. And they're going to culminate this. I think they're going to win the MAC championship. Ohio is a good team. They got like 2 or 3 losses on the season. But Western Michigan has been a team possessed. When they started this whole thing, that was their ultimate dream, just to win the MAC. I don't think none of them realized that they were going to go undefeated, that they were going to get this national notoriety and the whole 9 yards. And really, I want to say it was almost 3 weeks ago was when I kind of put them on that map and I put them on that radar for all of you guys to know that, wait a minute, this team deserves a closer look than what they're getting. And for me, I'm honored and I'm pleased that at least we in Strictly Sports can say that this team deserves the praise that they've been getting, and well deserved that they're getting. And I'm just so happy to see them, and I cannot wait to see their name pop up on Sunday afternoon at 12, playing. It could be for the Fiesta Bowl, could be for the Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl. I don't know what bowl it's going to be, but to see their name in a New Year's 6 is going to be an ultimate dream come true for me. The little guy is going to be joining with the big boys. Now in Western Michigan, you're going to have over a month to prepare for whoever they throw at you in that big game. So Western Michigan wins by at least 3 to 4 touchdowns is my prediction. And then it's upward and onward. Floyo, it's yours.
All right, keep your mic on, MF, because you're going to be leading off our other Friday game. 2 Friday games, 6 Saturday games as part of championship week. And in our other big game tomorrow night, oh boy, this is the bigger of the two, no doubt about it. For the Pac-12 championship, the number 8 Colorado Buffaloes going up against the number 4 Washington Huskies, Levi's Stadium, Santa Clara, California, in San Francisco. Game's on Fox. And on the call for Fox, it'll be Joe Davis, former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn, and the beautiful Jenny Taft on the sidelines. Like I said, this game's on Fox. And the spread favors, of course, it favors Washington. 7.5 to 8 points is the spread for the Huskies. MF, a very unlikely Pac-12 championship game. I don't think any of us had this as the Pac-12 championship game. Many thought maybe, Stanford, Oregon, USC, UCLA, any combination of those four. But Colorado and Washington, my goodness, you want to talk about another couple of teams of destiny here. I mean, Colorado was picked to finish last in the Pac-12.
Yep.
And here they are.
Yep.
Here they are playing for a Pac-12 championship, and the Washington Huskies looking to prove that they are for real. I mean, especially after that statement win in that Apple Cup game. And boy, was I disappointed in that game. So Colorado, Washington, MF, who wins the Pac-12. And if Washington wins, will we see them on New Year's Eve? If you know what I mean.
No, if they win this game, they're in. I'm calling it right here, right now. If Washington wins this game, there's no way you keep them out. There's no way they get left out in the cold. I truly believe in my heart of hearts, if they win, they're going to the college football playoff. And they're going to be playing, and they'll have an opportunity to play for the national championship. What I don't know is if Colorado wins, what happens at that point? That I think that's gonna be a very interesting dilemma. If you notice the college football playoff rankings, the way that it's ranked right now, the top two are easy. The 3 and the 4 are very shaky. And let me tell you, there's 2 teams. There's actually 3 or 4 teams that are looking for one of these slip-ups. Michigan is one of them. You could say Wisconsin is another one. Penn State is another. And yes, Colorado is right there. So if Colorado should knock off Washington, I mean, then the committee's got a major gripe. They got a major problema, because then what do you do at that point? Because then you got so many other teams in this situation. So if you're Washington, you got to. I'm going to be real straight with you. Just win the game. Don't worry about all this outside noise that's going on. Just win your game. Win the Pac-12 conference. Cement your spot in the playoff, because if you win that game, you're in. There's no doubt about it. You're in. It just remains to be seen how it's going to play out. But like you said, Anthony, Washington had one minor hiccup this entire season. And I'll even openly admit, they had a bad game. They got stomped by USC. USC was one of the hottest teams that's basically you don't want to face now. It's almost academic. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have bad games. Sometimes you get the mistakes. Sometimes you have bad performances. And I hate to say this, they had a bad performance. But then they turned it around. They got everything that was right in their system. And like you said, the Apple Cup with everything on the line, they showed why they were like, hey, we deserve to be here. What happened with USC was an off night. This is how we play our games. And they've been dominating all season long. And yeah, just one bad performance, and look what happened. So let me tell you, Colorado's sneaky good. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, but they did this, they did that. They lost to Michigan. Yeah, they did lose to Michigan at the end. But let me tell you guys, they made me sweat it out for at least 3 quarters in that game. And I saw that game live. So I know how good that team was. It was a tough game. It was a tough battle, and they did win it. So I'm going to say Washington wins. I think they'll cement their place into the playoff. My final score is 35-31. I think it's going to be a very hard-hitting game, a great battle from beginning to end. But I just have Washington just holding off enough and, like I said, cementing their place in the college football playoff. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, as I get my liner notes ready here. A victory by 4th-ranked Washington over number 8 Colorado in the Pac-12 championship game will most certainly be enough to get the Huskies into the college football playoff. But then again, maybe not. I mean, the prospect of the Big Ten getting 2 teams into the 14 playoff could shut out Washington, even if it defeats the surprising Buffaloes, who went from worst to first in the Pac-12 South in one season. The teams play in the 6th Pac-12 championship game tomorrow night at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, and the North champion has won every single Pac-12 championship game. No Southern team has ever won it. Washington's poor non-conference strength of schedule, which includes Rutgers, Idaho, Portland State, could come into play when the selection committee makes its decisions. But first, there is the matter of finding a way to beat a veteran, balanced Colorado squad. The Buffaloes cleared big hurdles in the past 2 weeks, twice defeating teams ranked number 22. They followed a 38-24 win over Washington State with a 27-22 win against Utah to clinch the South at 8-1. That marks 3 more conference victories than Colorado managed over its first 5 seasons in the Pac-12. Washington is 3rd nationally in scoring at 44.8 points a game. Sophomore quarterback Jake Browning is 3rd in the country in passing touchdowns with 40, 4th in passing efficiency, 181.6, and 9th in yards per completion, 14.78. In last week's showdown at Washington State for the Pac-12 North title, he completed 21 of 29 passes for 292 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. Sophomore running back Myles Gaskin ran for 1,180 yards in the regular season, his second season of at least 1,000 yards. Speedy senior John Ross is 2nd nationally with 16 touchdown receptions, and wide receiver Dante Pettis has 14 touchdown receptions. Colorado ranks 13th nationally in total defense, 324 yards a game, and scoring defense at about 19 points a game. Senior cornerback Chidobe Awuzie was selected the team's most valuable defensive player with 54 tackles, 10 pass breakups, and 9 career sacks for this season. And safety Tedrick Thompson has tied the school record for most interceptions in a season with 7. The Buffaloes' offense is not as explosive as Washington's, but the run-pass balance is formidable. Senior quarterback Sefu Liafo has thrown for 2,150 yards, completing about 65% of his passes with just 3 interceptions. And running back Philip Lindsay posted 1,136 rushing yards in the regular season to go with 44 catches. Liafo also has 483 rushing yards. Washington's hallmark on defense is being able to control the action with its front 4, able to pressure the passer without blitzing, and not needing to stack the box to stop the run. The Huskies' 16 interceptions are tied for 10th in the country. Huskies' defense is packed with 5 of the top 102 draft-eligible prospects for 2017, according to NFLDraftScout.com. 3 of those are defensive backs, cornerback Sidney Jones, number 20, and Kevin King, number 102, and safety Budda Baker, number 48. Washington did lose starting linebackers Joe Mathis and Azim Victor to injuries during the season, but redshirt freshman DJ Beavers is making the most of his new opportunity. Beavers tallied 4 tackles with a forced fumble recovery, and interception in last week's game against Washington State. Washington and Colorado each lost to USC, with the Buffaloes also dropping a game at Michigan. They were leading that game in the second half before Liafo left with an injury. The Huskies have won 6 consecutive meetings against Colorado, the last coming in 2014 in Boulder, 38-23. So there's really nothing left for me to say on this, except I'm going to be real honest. I love both of these teams. I really do. Colorado has thoroughly impressed me throughout this season. I mean, a team that was projected to finish dead last in the conference, and here they are, a win away from winning the Pac-12 championship. Mike McIntyre has done a wonderful job coaching these young men, and I love Sefu Liafo. I also love Philip Lindsay. They're going to have great. I think they can have solid games tomorrow night, no doubt about it. But if I'm going to be real honest with you, I have to go with Washington. I think Washington is the better team, honestly. Jake Browning is an out of this world quarterback, and you got a great running back in Myles Gaskin, and then you got John Ross, a phenomenal receiver, and you got a great coach in Chris Peterson, who knows how to win. He did it at Boise, for goodness sakes, and he's taken that same magic that he had in Boise, and he's taken that same magic to Washington. And Washington has been so consistent. And even with that loss to USC, a win here most definitely guarantees that we're going to see this team on New Year's Eve. No doubt about it. So there's really nothing left for me to say. MF, I 100% agree with you. I have the Washington Huskies winning the Pac-12 championship game. My final score, 31-24, Washington over Colorado in what I think will be a very exciting Pac-12 championship game at Levi's Stadium tomorrow night. So give me Washington in that one. All right. Now we move on to the Saturday slate of action. And we started off with the American Athletic Conference Championship game. The Temple Owls squaring off against the number 19 Navy Midshipmen at Jack Stevens Field at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. This game is going to be broadcast on ABC. And if you would just bear with me for one moment, I accidentally closed my announcer sheet. So I just have to get it back up. Just give me one moment. But yeah, we're going to have this game on. All right, here we go. Joe Tessitore, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe. They will be at Temple and Navy for the American Athletic Conference title matchup at high noon on ABC. Tessitore, Blackledge, Rowe, and the spread favors Navy 3 to 3.5 points, and I believe I start this one off. Yeah, no bullet yet, so I will start this one off here. Number 19 Navy and a Tide-powered triple option attack will face a huge test against visiting Temple in the American Athletic Conference Championship game on Saturday at noon on ABC. The Midshipmen, who won the West Division of the AAC, are playing for a conference title for the first time in the 136-year history of their program. Navy, led by quarterback Will Worth, is averaging 342 rushing yards a game, second best in the nation behind New Mexico at just shy of 361. Temple, who won the East Division, advanced to the conference championship for the second straight year. The Owls are riding a 6-game winning streak and have allowed 273.4 yards a game, ranking third behind, get this, Alabama and Michigan. Whoa, how about that? The winner of this game will be in the hunt for the Group of 5 bid to a New Year's 6 bowl. Will Worth has put together one of the finest seasons of any Navy football player. He was thrust into the starting role when Tago Smith went down with a season-ending knee injury in the opener against Fordham. From there, Worth has seamlessly run the triple option, managing 2,544 yards of total offense, 1,181 rushing, and 1,363 passing. He has also scored a touchdown in 11 consecutive games, which is the longest active streak in college football. Still, Worth's focus has been fully on winning the AAC title rather than personal stats. Navy spent 134 seasons as an independent before joining the AAC last year. Worth will face a tough challenge from an aggressive Temple defense led by defensive lineman Hassan Reddick and Praise Martin Ogiki, who have dominated opponents throughout the season. Reddick has registered 21.5 tackles for a loss, while Ogiki has 7 sacks. The Owl secondary is equally adept, allowing just 145.8 passing yards a game, second best in the nation behind only Michigan. Hello. It is going to be a tough, and it will indeed be a tough, hard-nosed football game. Temple quarterback Philip Walker has also played a vital role over the team's 6-game winning streak. He's thrown for 2,700 yards passing, third all-time among Owls quarterbacks for a single year, with 18 touchdowns. He could find some space against a Navy defense that is allowing 265 passing yards a game. Walker is complemented by running backs Jahad Thomas and Raquel Armstead, who have combined for 31 touchdowns this season. The Owls have come a long way since opening the season 1-3. However, they never quit believing in themselves, and their confidence is riding high. Navy leads the all-time series against Temple 6-5, including a 31-24 victory in their last meeting at Lincoln Financial Field in 2014. The Midshipmen have one key advantage in hosting the championship game at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. where they are tied with Houston for the nation's longest active home winning streak. Navy has not lost in Annapolis since the 36-27 setback to Western Kentucky on September 27th, 2014. So that's really all there is to say on that. It's definitely a tough one to call. I mean, there's definitely there's a very good chance that Temple could pull an upset here. But in all honesty, I have to go with Navy. I mean, Will Worth. And Will Worth, I think, is going to be the main reason why they win this game. I mean, what Worth has done, I mean, since Tago Smith he gets hurt in the opening game against Fordham, they bring in Worth. And he, like I said, he seamlessly ran that triple option. And I think it's because of that. I think Navy's going to find a way to win this game. They're hosting it, for goodness sakes. And this is you got to consider this the biggest game in Navy history, in the history of Navy. Even bigger than the Army game, for goodness sakes. And we're going to talk about that Army-Navy game. We're actually going to do something really unprecedented. We're going to talk about that game next Friday night on NFL Friday, seeing as if we're not going to waste the Thursday night talking about just one game. I mean, that'd be rather pointless and unnecessary, honestly. But we're going to talk about that next week, as long as Navy wins. Because if Navy wins and they stay ranked, for the first time ever, we're going to get to talk about the most prestigious game in all of college football, the Army-Navy game. And believe us, we're going to have some fun with that sucker. You better believe it. But for right now, this is the biggest game in the 136-year history of the Naval Academy football program. And just imagine what a win will do for that. They win this. They win a conference championship. And then they'll be in talks for a New Year's Six Bowl. How awesome would that be? I'm pulling for these guys. I love their coach. Ken Niumatalolo has done a wonderful job with this team. And now he's got them on the verge of a conference championship in just their second year in the conference. Amazing. Will Worth is going to be the catalyst. Navy will win it. Temple will give them fits, no doubt about it. But I just think Navy is just too good right now, especially Worth. 31-28, Navy beats Temple in the American Athletic Conference Championship game, which I think could be a 5-star classic. And no question about it, for me, this is far and away my sleeper game of the week. This is a game I recommend you check out because I think it can be really good. So with that being said, MF, Temple, Navy, American Athletic Conference. How about Navy? 134 years an independent. They joined the AAC just a year ago, and here they are, second year, playing for a conference championship. Biggest game in their school's history, even bigger than the Army game, go figure.
Well, it's not as big as the Army game. Let's put that into context. The Army-Navy game is bigger, but this one would be a feather in the cap for them. And plus, they've been in some bowl games in their day. They've been in some big matchups. And I believe they've actually won a national championship in their history. I believe so. This would be really huge for them if they do get there. So yes, I'm going with Navy as well. I'm not going to waste too much time here. So yeah, Anthony, let's just move on to the next game.
All right, fair enough. And you started off, and oh boy, are you gonna have fun with this one, MF? You ready for some bedlam? I think you're ready for some bedlam. Oh yeah, the bedlam game, the bedlam brawl, if you will, for the Big 12 championship. 12:30 kickoff. It says it's on Fox. I don't know if it's on Fox or FS1, but no, it is on Fox. I can confirm it's on Fox. 12:30 kickoff. The number 10 Oklahoma State Cowboys going up against the number 9 Oklahoma Sooners, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. This game is on Fox. And on the call for Fox, it'll be Tim Brando with Spencer Tillman and Bruce Feldman. Spread favors Oklahoma. 11-12 points is the spread. As you all know, the Big 12 does not have an official conference championship game For what reason, I don't know. But this game actually is technically for it because these are the top 2 teams in the conference, and whoever wins it wins the Big 12 championship, even though it's not an official championship game. MF, you started off the Bedlam Brawl, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Big 12 pseudo Big 12 championship on the line. Is it going to be Boomer Sooner one more time for Oklahoma? Or is Oklahoma State going to pull off a massive upset and steal one in Norman?
Well, I'll say this, man. At the beginning of the year, I had a whole bunch of expectations for Oklahoma. I said that they were going to destroy Houston, and they humiliated me. They left me so angry with that loss and the whole 9 yards, and I kind of lost faith in Oklahoma throughout the season. However, I'm willing to give them one more chance and say that they're going to win this game. It's going to be a great game. You know what? The reason why there's not a conference championship is because there's not enough teams to host a conference title in college football. I think they said that you had to have at least 12 teams or something like that in order to get it. I don't know. There's some kind of rule. It's an NCAA rule, but whatever the case may be, this is the best 2 teams out there. This is a Big 12 championship game. So to us, this is the final. There's nothing more than this. Oklahoma, I think it's going to get the job done. Baker Mayfield, the boys, they're going to rise up when the going gets tough, and they're at home as well. This is going to be a great game. Shootout galore, 45-41. Oklahoma wins Bedlam. They win the Big 12 title, and let the chips fall where they may. And actually, if they win that, you automatically go into the New Year's Six. So we'll see them in the New Year's Six. So we'll see. So, Anthony, I give it to you.
Well, I actually just found this out, MF. The Big 12 Conference actually announced in the summer that it would be bringing back its championship game next year. And they revealed last week. And guess where it's going to be? And guess where they're going to hold it? Jerry World, AT&T Stadium. How about that? So, starting next year.
Well, no big surprise. I mean, you know what? I got to say, for a number of years, it used to be in Arrowhead at Kansas City.
Right.
I mean, they had some good finals in there a few years. So no, why not put in Jerry World? They don't use it. They don't use it enough. They don't use that arena, that stadium enough.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, they only put WrestleMania in there, for goodness sakes, this year.
Yeah.
With a fabricated attendance record, by the way, even though they technically still broke it. But they didn't have 100,000. Let's not kid ourselves. It was more like 97,000. But still, they broke Three's record.
Yeah, they had at least a good 95, 97. I could even believe 98. It looked like there was almost 98,000 there.
Yeah, but it was sure as hell no 101,000. But we'll get into that another day. But like I said, the Big 12 Conference announced in the summer that it would be bringing back the championship game in 2017. And they revealed last week that game will be played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, the home of the red-hot Dallas Cowboys. Fortunately for the folks who live in Oklahoma, they won't have to drive as far for this year's title game. That's because this year's Bedlam rivalry game between 9th-ranked Oklahoma and 10th-ranked Oklahoma State on Saturday afternoon will decide the crown. It marks the second straight year that the Bedlam game will determine the Big 12 champion. The Sooners won 58-23 in last year's regular season finale in Stillwater. The chance to perhaps celebrate on their home field this time around is added motivation for the Sooners. Oklahoma started the season with aspirations of making it back to the college football playoff, but losses to Houston and Ohio State in non-conference play make that doubtful. The Sooners climbed back into the hunt after winning their first 8 conference games, but last week's results, especially with Washington making the Pac-12 title game and Ohio State beating Michigan, but failing to make the Big Ten title game, diminished Oklahoma's chances. Bob Stoops is attempting to win his 10th Big 12 title in 17 seasons as head coach of the Sooners, And he said it hasn't been hard for his team to maintain its focus after their early struggles, and also not to treat the conference title as a consolation prize. Oklahoma State will be bidding for its first conference title since claiming the Big 12 crown for the first time in 2011. Although the Cowboys are double-digit underdogs, an efficient passing game led by quarterback Mason Rudolph and wide receiver James Washington, a resurgent run game featuring Justice Hill and Chris Carson, and an opportunistic defense captained by safety Jordan Stearns provides some pop. In all likelihood, the ability of the Oklahoma State defense to step up will be key. Oklahoma has the most dangerous trio of playmakers in the Big 12 in quarterback Baker Mayfield, wide receiver Dede Westbrook, and running back Joe Mixon. Together, they have been capable of producing attacks that simply outscore opponents since the Oklahoma defense has been susceptible in all areas. Westbrook has more receiving touchdowns in the last 8 games with 15 than all but 3 FBS receivers have in their entire seasons, while Mayfield remains on a historic track with a passing efficiency rating of 194.7. To this point, Mayfield's passing efficiency rating is greater than former Sooners quarterback and star Sam Bradford, who holds the career NCAA mark. And Mixon has averaged 6.8 yards per carry during his 2 seasons in Oklahoma and ranks second in the country in all-purpose yards. The road team has won each of the last 3 Bedlam games, and the last 2 in Norman have gone to overtime. A Sooners victory would result in their first undefeated Big 12 season in 12 years and also give them their most conference wins in a season with 9. I agree with MF. Oklahoma wins this game. I think the spread is a little too steep, if I'm going to be real honest with you. I think that spread is way too high because Oklahoma State is no slouch. Let's not kid ourselves. I think 11-12 is way too high of a spread. I think a 3-4 spread is more appropriate, if I'm going to be real honest with you. I like Oklahoma, like MF said. I agree with that. But do watch out for Mason Rudolph and James Washington. I think they're going to both have big games, but come on. Look what I just said. I said Baker Mayfield, Dede Westbrook, Joe Mixon. And let's not forget about Samaje Perine. He's still there, and we all know what he's capable of. So what else is there for me to say? Oklahoma wins. It's going to be a very high-scoring affair. I'm going to tweak MF's score just a smidge. 44-41. Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State in the Bedlam game. I can't wait to check it out. I'll be flipping between that and the Temple and Navy matchup when it comes to those high noon games on Saturdays. So, but give me Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner for one of our broadcasting heroes and inspirations, good old JR Jim Ross, which is why we named good old MF Michael Fletcher. We named it after him because, Michael Fletcher is our Jim Ross, if you will, but he's more than that. Gorilla Monsoon, Michael Cole, Mauro Ranallo, whatever you want to call it. So that's all I can say on that. So Oklahoma wins 44-41, and I think it's going to be the greatest Bedlam game in the history of that rivalry, hands down. I said there was a meaningless game on Saturday. We've come up to that point. We're at that meaningless game. The Baylor Bears going up against the number 16 West Virginia Mountaineers. Mountaineer Field at Milan Puskar Stadium in Morgantown, West Virginia. This game is going to be on Fox Sports 1. And on the call for Fox Sports 1 will be Justin Kutcher with Petros Papadakis. And the spread favors West Virginia 17 to 17.5. I'm not going to waste time on this because it is a meaningless game, like I said. I got West Virginia winning. No question about it. Skylar Howard and company should have no trouble with Baylor. I mean, Baylor looked like they were back, but oh boy, have they really slipped. They got off to a very hot start, and then the wheels fell off. And the floodgates opened. They have not been able to stop the bleeding, and I'll be real honest, they're not going to stop the bleeding anytime soon. And I'm going to be real honest, I think that whole offseason sexual assault scandal, I think really finally became the distraction that we all knew it would. And yeah, they're in major trouble. So, and there's no way they're going to beat West Virginia in Morgantown, especially with how good they've been playing. So I'm going with West Virginia. I'm not going to waste any time on this meaningless game. So MF, Baylor, West Virginia, our only real meaningless game on this championship week. I'm sure you got West Virginia, right? Before we move on.
Yes, West Virginia. Let's move on.
And keep your mic on, MF, because you're going to be leading off on our next matchup. And you're going to be leading off on a much better matchup. The SEC championship game.
Oh, boy.
Yup. Your number one reigning, defending, undisputed college football playoff national champion, Alabama Crimson Tide, going up against the number 15 Florida Gators in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. This is the last time it's going to ever be there because, remember, the Falcons open their new stadium next year. And it's very likely that they're going to host the SEC title game starting next year. It's the SEC on CBS, the SEC championship game, the second to last stop on the Vern Lundquist farewell tour. He, Gary Danielson, Allie LaForce will be in the Georgia Dome for the SEC title game. And Alabama, wow, I cannot believe they're this high of a favorite. They're a 24-point favorite against Florida. 24. That's more than 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
MF, is it roll tide roll once again for Alabama? Or can Florida pull off an upset for the ages?
Oh, my God. We've always questioned when was Alabama going to lose? And they haven't. If they lose this game, the magnitude would be monumental. But with the body of work that Alabama has done all season long, they still would make the playoff in my eyes. So I don't know. I'm going to go with Alabama. I think they'll win it. I don't really need to go into details or anything like that. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Alabama to win the SEC title. And, Anthony, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I think you were about to say national championship.
I was, and then I stopped myself about a third of the way there.
Even though technically, if you were to have said that, I would have agreed with you because I think they are the team to beat right now, unless we see otherwise.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
well, I do think there is one other team that could give Alabama fits, and believe it or not, I actually think it's Ohio State. I think Ohio State's got what it takes to win. Yeah.
Of course, absolutely. Speculation has it that even if Alabama does not beat Florida to win the SEC championship, the Crimson Tide could still earn a spot in the 3rd annual college football playoff. The Tide and Gators will go at it at 4 o'clock Saturday in the Georgia Dome with CBS cameras catching the action. Alabama, number 1 in this week's college football playoff rankings, has a chance to become the first team to win 3 straight SEC championships since Florida won 4 in a row from 1993 to 1996. Alabama made the college football playoff both years with a loss, and the Tide lost the game in 3 of their 4 national championship seasons as well. With an offense that is producing nearly 40 points and 480 yards a game, led by freshman quarterback Jalen Hurts, 20 TD passes, 12 rushing touchdowns, 2,454 yards passing, 840 rushing, and running back Damian Harris, 897 yards rushing. The Tide is expected to roll over a Florida defensive unit that could have 7 starters out with injuries. And Jordan Sherritt, injured in last week's loss to Florida State, is the latest addition to a list that features and Brian Cox Jr., linebackers Gerard Davis and Alex Anzalone, and safeties Nick Washington and Marcus May. They could be joined by linebacker Daniel McMillian and safety Duke Washington, who are day-to-day. The problems are multiplied with the difficulties the Gators have moving the ball with an offense that ranks 13th out of 14 teams in the SEC and averages 352.7 yards a game rushing and passing. Backup quarterback Austin Appleby likely will start with injured starter Luke Del Rio, available on a limited basis against an Alabama defense that has held opponents to national lows of 68.7 yards a game rushing and 246.8 yards a game in total offense. Still, the Gators have scored just 29 points over their last 2 games and failed to score an offensive touchdown last week in a 31-13 loss to Florida State. The game is a rematch of last year's SEC title game, which Alabama won 29-15. This will be the 9th time they have played for the championship since the league split into 2 divisions in 1992. They have split the previous 8 meetings 4-4. Don't get me wrong. I love Jim McElwain. I love what he has done with Florida. I mean, he has done. He's got them to the championship game each of the last in his first 2 years on the job. I don't even think the old ball coach even did that. You know, Steve Spurrier, the greatest coach in Florida football history. I don't think he even did that. I don't even think Urban Meyer did that. But nonetheless, solid young quarterback in Appleby. But it's Bama's to lose, man. Alabama, in my honest opinion, until I see otherwise, to me, are far and away the best team in all of college football. And as of right now, I'm gonna call it right now. And if you want to put me on the record, by all means, put me on the record. I don't care. They are my favorite to repeat as national champions. Honest to God. That is until I see otherwise. I don't think it's going to be in this game. I think the spread's a little too steep, if I'm going to be real honest. I think maybe a 2-touchdown spread maybe would have been a little more reasonable. But a more than 3-touchdown spread, I think that's a little bit disrespectful to Florida. I mean, you're making Florida look like they're a dud enhancement team, for goodness sakes. But nonetheless, though, I got Bama winning. I mean, Hurts and Damian Harris and Artavius Stewart and Calvin Ridley and that defense. I mean, the defense is going to smother Appleby and smother that offense. And there's really nothing left for me to say. Make it back-to-back. Make it 3 straight SEC championships for the Tide. And this one's for you, Jason Hicksonbaugh. Roll Tide, roll, baby. That's all there is to it. Alabama wins again. I think they're going to win this. They'll probably win going away. So really not going to waste any more time on that. We got 2 games left, and let's get into it. They're both in prime time. And let's start it off with the ACC championship game. For the last few years, it was held at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. But obviously, because of that whole transgender track controversy, they've moved the game out of that stadium. And that game will now be played at Camping World Stadium, formerly the Citrus Bowl, in Orlando, Florida. Of course, that's going to be the upcoming home of WrestleMania 33. In 4 months' time already. My goodness. But nonetheless, it's the ACC title matchup. The number 3 Clemson Tigers going up against the number 23 Virginia Tech Hokies. This game will be broadcast on ABC. And it's the Saturday night game. You know who's working it. The A-Team. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Samantha Ponder. They will be in Orlando for this ACC championship matchup. And the spread, of course, favors Clemson. 10 to 10.5 points is the spread for Clemson. And what else do I have to say? I mean, which teams are going to show up for the ACC championship game? Will it be the Clemson team that romped past South Carolina 56-7, Syracuse 54-0, and Boston College 56-10, and won 37-34 at Florida State? Or will it be the one that lost to Pittsburgh 43-42 and would have lost to North Carolina State had the Wolfpack not missed a chip shot field goal as time ran out in regulation? Will it be the Virginia Tech club that waxed division rivals North Carolina 34-3 and Miami 37-16, or the one that lost to Syracuse 31-17 and Georgia Tech 30-20, the latter with the Coastal title on the line? The answers will be forthcoming when the Tigers and Hokies kick off at 8 o'clock Saturday night in the ACC championship game at Camping World Stadium in Orlando on ABC. For third-ranked Clemson, the stakes are huge because a victory is likely to mean a berth in the 4-team college football playoff. Clemson is playing for a second consecutive ACC title and 16th championship in program history is no surprise. Yes, the Tigers had to rebuild a defense that lost 8 starters from the 2015 club and had a key date in Tallahassee with Florida State. but they also returned 8 starters to an offense that ranked number 16 in the country in scoring last year and number 11 in total offense, and had a Heisman candidate in quarterback Deshaun Watson to run the show. Virginia Tech, however, was coping with all the trials that go with a coaching change. Justin Fuente came from Memphis to take over for legendary Frank Beamer and installed a more up-tempo approach on an offense while looking for a new starter at quarterback. An early 45-24 loss to Tennessee at Bristol Motor Speedway seemed to confirm the media's pick of a 4th-place finish for the Hokies in the Coastal Division behind defending champion North Carolina, Miami, and Pittsburgh. But the Hokies beat each one of those teams to earn their 6th appearance in the ACC title game, which is being played for the 12th time. Junior college transfer Gerard Evans has been a big key. He beat out last year's backup Brendan Motley at quarterback and ended up setting Tech's single-season record for touchdown passes 26 and total offense 3,752 yards. He passed for 3,039 yards, the second most in a single season at Tech, behind Don Strock's 3,243 yards in 1972, and also owns the school's single-season record for touchdowns accounted for with 34. Such numbers actually rival those Watson put up for the Tigers. The junior, who announced his intention to enter next spring's NFL draft, has passed for 34 touchdowns and 3,626 yards and is on a roll as of late. Over the last 3 games, he's completed 74% of his passes for 1,129 yards and 10 touchdowns. Both quarterbacks have a plethora of receivers to throw to. For Tech, Isaiah Ford has 69 receptions for 949 yards, Cam Phillips 58 for 776, and Bucky Hodges 42 for 598. On the other side, you have Mike Williams, 79 catches for 1,114 yards, Artavis Scott 64 for 544, and Ray McLeod 44 for 434, along with tight end Jordan Leggett 34 for 588. There is also an interesting link between the two coaches. Fuente, who was at TCU at the time, was one of 2 assistants Dabo Swinney interviewed several years ago for the offensive coordinator job that ultimately went to Chad Morris. Swinney and Fuente have remained in contact since. So, great. There's definitely a chance for a great offensive battle here. I mean, you heard the numbers, but let's be realistic. It's Clemson. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, Clemson is another one of the best teams out there. And you remember MF. I mean, you say Ohio State can give Bama fits. What about Clemson? I think Clemson can give Bama fits. I mean, remember that epic championship game last year? They really pushed Bama to the wall before Bama finally won it at University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale. I mean, Deshaun Watson definitely emerging as a Heisman candidate yet again after a slow start. He's really picked it up, like I said earlier. And you got that great offensive unit with Leggett and Mike Williams and Artavis Scott, Ray McLeod. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Tech will give Clemson some fits maybe early in this one, but I think ultimately Clemson pulls away and wins it. So give me the Clemson Tigers to win this ACC title game. I'm going to go 38-28, Clemson over Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game. And Clemson will get another shot at the college football playoff and another chance at that national championship that eluded them a year ago in that epic championship game against Alabama. So, MF, it's well documented. You've been high on this Clemson team for the last couple of years now. I know you're still high on them. I know you probably got them winning this championship game, but your thoughts on this ACC championship game and Clemson getting back to the college football playoff. And I know you're very high on them just as much as you're high on your Michigan boys.
No, I am, and I really think that they're going to get the job done. I think this is a really good team, a really great team, as a matter of fact. At the end of the day, I just think they're the more better team. I just think that they just got what it takes to get the job done. I think they're going to win it. But my final score is 35-24. I think they're going to win the game 35-24. And I'm with you. I think they're going to move on. So there's really nothing more to say. Let's just get into the last. Yeah,
the last game on our docket. You're right. And And I believe you started off, and it's only fitting you started off because this is your conference, bud. This is it.
Yes, it is.
The Big Ten championship game, our final game of the week. Also, will be kicking off at 8 o'clock. This game will be on Fox. The number 6 Wisconsin Badgers squaring off against the number 7 Penn State Nittany Lions, Lucas Oil Stadium, Indianapolis, Indiana. This game will be on Fox. And on the call for Fox, you know who it's going to be. Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt, Shannon Spake. They will be in Indianapolis for this very unlikely Big Ten championship game. But, hey, we're here. And Wisconsin, 3-point favorite in this one. MF, your conference, I know how badly you wanted to see Michigan here. Heck, I wanted to see Michigan here. But
Yes.
they lost in what I am calling the greatest game in the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Yet Penn State is representing the East because of their upset win over Ohio State back on October 22. So here we are. Who would have thought we'd see this matchup? Wisconsin, Penn State for the Big Ten championship. Big question is who wins, and if that team wins, do they have a case?
Is it enough to
for the
get them
playoffs?
in? Oh, man. I'll say this. If Wisconsin wins, I don't think there's a case. Because the problem is you lost to Ohio State. You lost to Michigan. Those are the two teams that have been ahead of you all year long. I don't think there's an argument. I don't think they would get in. If Penn State wins, there might be an argument. There could be a very good argument because at that point, then you can say, all right, you beat Ohio State, plus, and yeah, you did lose to Michigan. Actually got blown out by Michigan, but you are not only that, you're a divisional champion because you won the East Division and you won the conference. I think that's good enough to get you over the top. I think Penn State could get in. They could sneak in. But one other problem is you're going to need Clemson or you're going to need Washington to fall. One of those two's got to fall, or if both falls, then that might really open the door for something here. So we'll see. At the end of the day, this is one of those where it's a heart to gut thing. My heart wants Penn State to win, but my gut is telling me go with Wisconsin to win. I'm very torn because both teams are really good. Offensively, they've been really good. Defensively, they're strong enough. It's going to be a great final, a great battle. This could be a 5-star classic. I got to say Penn State. I think Penn State's going to win the title, Anthony. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to do it. This is a real tough game to call, but I got to go with Penn State. My final score is 28-24. I think Penn State is going to win the Big Ten title. I do. I'll give it to you.
I do have some breaking news to report before I give you my thoughts. Breaking news from the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys have done it again. They have defeated the Minnesota Vikings 17-15 at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Make it 11 in a row for the Dallas Cowboys. They are now 11-1, and the Vikings dropped to 6-6. We will talk about that tomorrow night on NFL Friday. Man, oh man. The Dallas Cowboys have just bought themselves at least 2 more weeks in our power rankings as our number 1 team. My goodness. We'll save that for tomorrow night. So once again, Dallas Cowboys over the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football, 17-15 in Minneapolis, 11 in a row for the boys. So unbelievable. All right, now getting back to this. The winner of the Big Ten championship game has an outside chance of slipping into the 14 college football playoff. The loser knows that it has been formally, if not officially, eliminated. It is a showdown between the 3rd and 4th best teams in the conference when number 6 Wisconsin faces number 7 Penn State in the Big Ten title game at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis on a Saturday night. The Badgers are ranked 6th in the latest CFP rankings, and the Nittany Lions sit 7th. The winner will likely need both number 3 Clemson and number 4 Washington to lose its conference title games, as number 5 Michigan is positioned to be the first benefactor should the Tigers or Huskies stumble. So the fate of the winner is hard to determine, and some players aren't spending much time worrying about it. Both squads have certainly put themselves in position to be discussed as two of the hotter teams in the country. The Badgers have won 6 consecutive games to claim the Big Ten's West Division. Wisconsin averaged 42.7 points over its last 3 games, and the defensive-oriented squad leads the nation with 21 interceptions. Penn State enters with 8 straight wins and averaged 40.4 points during the stretch en route to the East Division crown. The Nittany Lions registered a shocking upset of Ohio State on October 22 and rode the momentum to win a division that includes both the Buckeyes and Michigan. With both teams streaking and so much at stake, it's hard to downplay the magnitude of the team's first matchup since 2013. This is the Nittany Lions' first ever appearance in the Big Ten title game, and it wasn't expected to occur this season. Not just because of the powerful Buckeyes and Wolverines, but due to where Penn State's program had dropped in the wake of the Jerry Sandusky child molestation scandal. The legacy of Joe Paterno was tainted, and the football program received a bowl ban and scholarship reductions. Worst to the players was the stigma hung over them despite no wrongdoing on their parts. But suddenly the joy is back in Happy Valley, with the Nittany Lions reveling in their best season since 2009. And Evan Schwan, fifth-year senior defensive end, is tied with junior defensive end Garrett Sickles for the team lead with 6 sacks for a unit that held 3 of its last 4 opponents to 14 or fewer points. The Nittany Lions will be attempting to slow standout Wisconsin senior running back Corey Clement, who paces the offense with 1,140 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. The Badgers are employing 2 quarterbacks in redshirt freshman Alex Hornibrook and senior Bart Houston. Hornibrook's output is 1,243 yards and 8 touchdowns against 7 interceptions, while Houston has 912 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Hornibrook suffered a concussion during last Saturday's victory over Minnesota, but was cleared to practice on Tuesday and is expected to play against Penn State. Wisconsin's opportunistic defense ranks 3rd nationally in scoring defense, 13.7, and rushing defense, 100.8 yards per game. Among the standouts are senior free safety Leo Musso, team best 5 interceptions, junior strong safety Dakota Dixon, 4 picks, Shelton with 4 picks, and junior outside linebacker TJ Watt, younger brother of NFL superstar JJ Watt, team leading 9.5 sacks. Penn State sophomore running back Saquon Barkley suffered a right foot injury in Saturday's win against Michigan State, but head coach James Franklin declined to discuss his status during a press conference. Barkley is the team's most explosive weapon and rushed for 1,219 yards and 15 touchdowns. Quarterback Trace McSorley enjoyed a breakout campaign as a sophomore by passing for 2,976 yards and accounting for 27 touchdowns, 21 passing, and 6 rushing. The passing yardage is the 4th best single-season output in Penn State history. Wisconsin has more experience on this stage as it is making its 4th Big Ten title game appearance in 6 seasons, and head coach Paul Chryst sees the goal this time around, winning and slipping into the national playoff. He said on a conference call, you always want to be the best you can be. And certainly in college football, that's the pinnacle. I'm right there with you, MF. I mean, this is a very tough game to call. I am not going to lie. And I'm in the same boat as you are. My gut's telling me Wisconsin. My heart's telling me Penn State. But after what you just said, and after the argument that you made, I got no choice but to agree with you. I got to go with Penn State. I mean, you've heard me the last few weeks say how much I'm loving the body of work of Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley, and I think that two-headed monster is going to be the major difference. I mean, you got that quarterback by committee in Wisconsin, which I don't think is going to do much of anything. Clement, I think, will have a fine game, but ultimately, I got this feeling about Penn State. Penn State is really rolling right now. They got a tremendous wave of momentum, especially after Ohio State beat Michigan in what I consider the greatest game in that historic rivalry. that 5-star classic Shakespearean drama-laden ball game for the ages. And Penn State really benefited from that. And after a slow start, they pounded Michigan State to a pulp, and here they are. And I think behind McSorley and Barkley, I think they're going to find a way to get it done. It's got potential to be a classic, like MF said. So I'm going with Penn State to win as well. No question about it. My final score, I'm going to go 27-24. Penn State beats Wisconsin in what I think could be an epic championship game in the Big Ten Conference. And there's really nothing left for me to say except we're going to move on now to our final, can you believe it, final power poll of this season here on our season finale of College Football Thursday. And I'm going to start it off. And I do have some honorable mentions very quick. One of those is the Florida State Seminoles. They finished the year 9-3. They defeated Florida 31-13 last Saturday night in that rivalry game. And also on the outside looking in, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I mean, they were on a bye last week. They didn't really do anything. So they're on the outside looking in. So I'm going to start it off at number 10. And who I have at number 10, well, it pains me to say it, but I got to do it anyway. The team that, as a Notre Dame fan, the team that you love to hate, the USC Trojans. I got to do it. USC Trojans are my number 10. They did what I expected them to do. I mean, they pounded Notre Dame to a pulp. I'm not going to kid you on that. We all knew that was going to happen. They beat up on Notre Dame in the Coliseum, 45-27. I mean, Notre Dame put up more of a fight than I thought, but USC ultimately pulled away and got the win. They finished the year 9-3 overall, 7-2 in the Pac-12. They just missed out on the championship game. Colorado was one game better, and they closed the year. They closed the year winning 8 in a row. They started the year 1-3. They got their brains beat up by Alabama in the Cowboy Classic. Then they beat up on a dud enhancement team in Utah State, and then road losses at Stanford and Utah. And then once the calendar hit October, there was no looking back for Clay Helton and company. As they pound, I mean, with the exception of one game, which was the Colorado game, every opponent they beat was by at least 2 or more scores. And this is not a team you want to face when it comes to a bowl game. If you're on the other side of USC and whatever bowl game they're going to be in, I'd be scared to death. And considering how hot they finished, this could be a dark horse team next year. I mean, who knows? USC football could be back next year. So let's keep that in mind. And even though I hate their guts as a Notre Dame fan, I still respect them. And after what I saw to close the year, after that 1-3 start to win 8 in a row and finish 9-3, I salute you boys. Well done. So number 10 for me, USC Trojans. I don't know if MF agrees with that, but let's see what he does anyway.
No, I agree with it for the most part. I think so. There, basically the only other teams that I want to give honorable mentions to is Florida State and Oklahoma State, because I think they were just right there. But yeah, USC deserved more than willing and more deserving than any other team to be in the power poll. So no, my number 10 is them. My number 9 is Colorado. I got to give it to the Colorado Buffaloes. 10-2 on the season. Like Anthony, we talked about it earlier. They are actually fighting for the right to be a part of the college football playoff. If they beat Washington, they become the Pac-12 champions, and that's a huge feather in their cap. And we'll have to wait and see how the chips fall where they may. So, number 9 is Colorado. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, Colorado Buffaloes, number 9. I agree with that 100%. They win the Pac-12 South. What a year they had. 10-2 overall, 8-1 in the Pac-12, winning the South Division by a game over SC. They narrowly got by Utah, 27-22. I mean, they lost only one game. That was, of course, to MF's team, Michigan, back on September 17th, 45-28 in the Big House. Well, actually, they lost two. They also lost to USC. That's right, in the Coliseum on October 8th. But since that SC loss, they haven't lost a game since. I mean, and now they go up against a very tough Washington team in the Pac-12 championship game. I mean, this is the biggest game for Colorado football in a long time. So there's really nothing left for me to say on that. So credit, I mean, I give all the credit where credit is due to their head coach, Mike McIntyre. He's done an amazing job. He should definitely be in line for he should definitely be on the ballot for Coach of the Year, no doubt about it. After what he's done for that program, absolutely. So that's it. Number 9, Colorado Buffaloes. My number 8, Penn State Nittany Lions are my number 8. They won the Big Ten. What a year for them. I mean, they finished 10-2 overall, 8-1 in the Big Ten. They won the East by virtue of their head-to-head win over Ohio State in the regular season. 2 losses on the year, both on the road. September 10th, they lost at Pittsburgh, 42-39, and then got beat down by Michigan in the Big House, 49-10 on September 24. And since that beat down by Michigan, they haven't lost a game. Of course, the highlight of that, of course, October 22nd, when they upset then number 2 Ohio State in Happy Valley, 24-21 on a Saturday night game on ABC in front of a national television audience. The same night, the Chicago Cubs won the National League pennant. Boy, that made that Saturday night a memorable one. No question about that. So, and another guy who should be in the running for Coach of the Year, James Franklin. I mean, somewhere you got to believe Joe Pa is smiling down from heaven above, man. I mean, he has got to be so proud of those young men. And he's smiling down and saying, my boys have done it again. And it's almost like I'm there, and I got a part. I mean, my spirit still lingers on, even though his legacy got tainted because of the whole Sandusky BS. But you know, it is what it is. Penn State football, for the moment, is back, and if they win this Big Ten championship game like MF and I think they do, Penn State football could be back, and this could be another dark horse team next year, just like SC. So watch out. McSorley and Barkley, love those young men, and I think they're going to be the catalyst on Saturday night. So Penn State Nittany Lions, number 8. MF, what says you?
Yeah, I there's no argument here. Penn State is my number 8 as well. You basically hit every type of mark that you needed to hit. My number 7 is Oklahoma. Oklahoma Sooners. I mean, what a season they had. 9-2 overall in the Big 12 conference. Like I said, they only had the 2 losses the entire season. So the first game of the season when they got kind of wiped out by Houston, and then they got thrashed again by Ohio State. But other than that, they're 8-0 in the Big 12 conference. The top dogs right now, 9-2 overall. To do is win Bedlam, and they're in. They got they'll be in the New Year's 6. And who knows? Maybe a couple of lucky breaks here and there, and they could end up winning the whole darn thing. They could end up being in the playoff when this is all said and done. So we'll wait and see what happens. But right now, definitely in my eyes, they are most worthy of where they're at right now. Number 7, Oklahoma Sooners. Anthony, it's yours.
Right there with you. Number 7, Oklahoma Sooners. I mean, what a job. I mean, what a job Bob Stoops has done here. I mean, 9-2 overall. And like MF said, as of now, they're 8-0 in the Big 12. Their toughest game to date on Saturday afternoon against Oklahoma State, the Bedlam game, where the winner will win the Big 12 championship. Last time we saw them 2 weeks ago on a snowy Saturday night in Morgantown, West Virginia, pounding West Virginia 56-28, doubling them up. And they started the year 1-2. They lose at Houston at NRG Stadium on an opening game, 33-23, made MF look like a stupid idiot. If I'm going to be real honest with you, but hey, I mean, because he was the one who said Houston was going to get blown out by Oklahoma, and boy, did they make him look, they made him look like that. And then, of course, September 17th, they lose at home to Ohio State, another nationally televised game. And since that tough loss to Ohio State, they have not lost since. I mean, they've gone through the Big 12, and here they are with a chance to win another Big 12 championship. Bob Stoops, say what you want about him, but I think this has to rank up there as his personal best coaching job in all his years there. I mean, even more so than that national championship year they had back in the year 2000. So really all I can say on that. So well done for you guys. So Oklahoma Sooners are number 7. My number 6, the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin Badgers, they finished the year 10-2, 7-2 in Big Ten play. They win the West by a game over Nebraska and Iowa. They knocked off Minnesota 31-17 last time out. They go up against Penn State for the Big Ten championship on Saturday night. Started the year 4-0, and then they lost 2 in a row. But then again, you went up against the powerhouses of the conference in Michigan in the Big House, and then a tough luck loss at home 2 weeks later to Ohio State. Both by a touchdown. They lost 14-7 Michigan and then 30-23 to Ohio State. And then since that tough loss to the Buckeyes, they have not lost since. But then again, they had a mostly soft schedule, so that definitely made it easier for them, and they took full advantage of it. And they go up against a white-hot Penn State team. So 4th Big Ten championship game in the last 6 years. That's dynasty stuff right there as far as I'm concerned, even though the results really haven't been there. But still, I think Wisconsin's another team you got to watch out for next year. So number 6, Wisconsin Badgers. How about it, MF?
You know what? I agree with that as well, Anthony. Number 6 is Wisconsin. What a season they've had. You know, they only had that 2 losses, which was to Ohio State and Michigan. Both tough games. I mean, they could have won either game. They only lost to Michigan. I think it was 14-7, and then to Ohio State, I think they got their hearts broken in overtime, if I remember correctly. So I mean, those are 2 great games that they had. Unbelievable battles. And you know, if they would have won either one of those 2 games, who knows? We'd be talking about them being in the playoffs, but they do have a chance to get there. What they would need to do is win over Penn State, which is very possible, and then they're going to need Clemson or Washington to trip up in their conference title games where, you know, you never know. I mean, anything can happen. But let's just move on. My number 5 is Michigan. Oh, my God, what a season. I'll admit it. That game against Ohio State took so much out of me, and to know that they lost the way that they lost, yeah, it hurt. I mean, Anthony, you said that that's the game that I live and die by. I think I died 3 times over when I heard that they lost, and the way that they lost. It was without.
I heard a loud crack. As Samuel ran in for that winning touchdown, I swore I heard a loud crack, and I swore that loud crack was the sound of your heart breaking.
I was so devastated, man. And oddly enough, I was working at the job, so I found out. But when I did, my knees bucked, like I almost fell. My head was hung low. I almost felt like crying. Like, I was that devastated. I mean, it was when I heard they lost in double overtime, and that's the worst thing about it. It was when I heard that they lost in double overtime, that it was a touchdown that ended it. It almost, it was like a what could have been type moment for me. It was a what could have been. It is one of the hardest losses to take, and in the back of your mind, you're thinking, "Man, we're out of the playoff. There's no way we're going to get in it." And now they're still number 5, and I'm like, "Wow, the committee really must like Michigan that much. But then again, they lost to Iowa by 1 point. They got their hearts broken in double overtime. So obviously, the committee is rewarding Michigan that even though these were 2 losses, they weren't devastating enough to knock them out. And if you really think about it, if Clemson loses or if Washington loses, could there be a chance that Michigan sneaks in?
Of course.
I mean, that's the one thing. I think no matter what, Michigan will be involved in the New Year's Six, which is very exciting for me because that means either we're going to be playing in one of these 4 bowls, which is non-playoff. So that means we could be at the Rose. We could be in the Orange Bowl, and that's where a lot of the people, even the experts, are believing that's where Michigan will be. Either they're going to be playing in the Rose Bowl or they're going to be playing in the Orange Bowl in Miami. Because they don't believe they're going to be in the Sugar Bowl or they're not going to be in the Fiesta Bowl. For some odd reason, they believe those 2 are going to get left out there. But the other 2 is very possible. So number 5, Michigan. Anthony, it's yours.
Well, we're gonna put the power poll on a brief pause for a moment because Michael Bullock has just joined us. Yeah, you just barely made it, Bullock. Just barely. But we're gonna catch you up. We already previewed all the games. We're halfway through the power poll, so let's get your rapid fire thoughts on all these games real quick. There's only 8 of them, as you know. Tomorrow night at 7 on ESPN2, the MAC championship game, number 17, Western Michigan against Ohio. Western Michigan, a 17.5 point favorite. So who you got there?
All right. What was the game again?
Number 17, Western Michigan against Ohio for the MAC championship in Detroit.
Yeah, I got Western Michigan winning this one, and yeah, as far as what bowl game they're going to, well, I just think we'll have to wait and find out.
Yes, indeed. And then the other big game tomorrow night, the Pac-12 championship game, number 8, Colorado, number 4, Washington in San Francisco, 9 o'clock on Fox. Washington, a 7.5 to 8 point favorite. Who do you like there?
Well, this is a game I'm going to have a lot of interest in when it comes to this.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, Washington, if they win, obviously it looks like they'll be in the college football playoff, but there's a chance that Colorado could pull off the upset.
Absolutely.
Man, this is a tough one for me to choose. I mean, it basically could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. But you know what? I've seen crazy things on during championship weekend in college football, and I'm actually going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with Colorado. I think they're going to find a way to pull off the upset. I mean, and I think it will be a close one. I'm actually going to say 24-17 in overtime. That's how far I'm going.
Wow.
I think they're gonna upset them in overtime.
So you're saying there's a chance?
That's what I'm saying. There is a chance.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, especially after what we saw last weekend with Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in just a little bit. Now to the Saturday slate of games, high noon on ABC. We got Temple squaring off against Navy for the American Athletic Conference Championship. Games on ABC. Navy, I believe, was about a 3.5 to 4 point favorite. So who do you like in the American Athletic Conference title game?
All right. I got Navy winning this one. I mean, I think it'll be a close one, but I just don't think Temple's going to be able to hang around with Navy. I mean, it'll be a close one, but I think Navy gets it done at the end.
All right, fair enough. And then it's the Bedlam game. Number 10, Oklahoma State going up against number 9, Oklahoma in Norman on Fox. And Oklahoma is an 11 to 12 point favorite. And this game's for the Big 12 championship. Whoever wins it wins the Big 12. So who do you like in that one, Bullet?
Well, I'm going to say it simple. Boomer Sooner, baby. That's who I'm going with, the Oklahoma Sooners. And I think this is going to be a shootout. I mean,
I agree.
it's going to be – and I think it's going to go I'm going to say 45-42. Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that's just about where MF and I had it. And in our only meaningless game of the week, yes, there is a meaningless game in this week. Baylor going up against number 16, West Virginia on FS1. And West Virginia is a 17 to a 17.5 point favorite. So quickly, who do you like there?
Yeah, I got West Virginia winning this one. Not going to waste my time on this one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And then the SEC championship game, number 1, Alabama, number 15, Florida in the Georgia Dome. Alabama, a 24-point favorite against the Gators. The second to last stop on the Vern Lundquist farewell tour, as you know. So I already know who you have, but just put us out of our misery anyway.
Yeah, I got Alabama winning this one, going away. I mean, I think this will not be close, but is there a chance Florida could pull off the upset? I mean, it's possible, but I don't see it happening. But then again, you never know. We've seen crazier things happen, like I said, on championship weekend. So
very true.
So we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, I got Alabama winning this one.
All right. And then the ACC championship game at 8 o'clock on ABC. Number 3, Clemson against number 23, Virginia Tech. Camping World Stadium, formerly the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Clemson, a 10 to 10.5 point favorite. I think I know who you have, but just confirm it anyway.
Yeah, I got Clemson winning this one. No doubt about it in my mind.
Of course. All right. And then finally, the Big Ten championship, 8 o'clock on Fox. Number 6, Wisconsin. Number 7, Penn State at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. On Fox with Gus Johnson and company. And Wisconsin, a 3-point favorite. Who do you like in the Big Ten?
Oof. This is going to be a close one right here. I mean, especially with this being a 3-point favorite. I mean, it could be a 3-point game. Oof. Man, this is another tough one here. I'm gonna go with Wisconsin to win this one. My final score, I'm gonna go 27-24. Wisconsin wins it, and I'm gonna say it again, in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see that going.
All right, so there you go. You're all caught up. You don't have to worry about the power poll. I mean, MF and I pretty much have it covered. I mean, we were already halfway through it before you came in, so I'm sure you would have agreed with us anyway. So
yeah, I probably would have.
Yeah. So
so you guys just go ahead and finish.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. I believe I was on my number 5, and I agreed with. I was gonna say to MF, I agree with you again. It is the Michigan Wolverines at number 5. I mean, they started the year. What, 9-0? I think it was. I think it was like 9-0. Yeah. And then they had that demoralizing loss in Des Moines against Iowa on that Saturday night game. They lose on that walk-off field goal as time expired. And then losing in even more heartbreaking fashion to Ohio State, the greatest game in the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry that I ever saw. 5-star classic, Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. And they lose in double OT to Ohio State, 30-27 on a walk-off touchdown by Curtis Samuel. But Michigan's got nothing to be ashamed of. 10-2 overall, 7-2 in the Big Ten. I mean, man, oh man. I mean, Jabril Peppers, a Heisman Trophy candidate, Wilton Speet, and Jake Butt, and Dabo, and Chesson, and a solid defense. And the only way Michigan can get into the playoff is if at least one of the top 4 teams lose. They're gonna need one of those teams to lose. even though I don't think any of them will, the most realistic one I could see losing, the one that has the best chance of losing, honestly, is Washington, because they're going up against Colorado. The other three, I don't see them losing, honestly. So, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. So, like Bullock said, so that's pretty much it on that. So, number 5 is the Michigan Wolverines. My number 4, Washington Huskies. What a year for them. They finished the year 11-1, 8-1 in the Pac-12. They won the North. They took care of they put away Washington State in that Apple Cup game. Boy, so much for that hype. I mean, that game ended up being an absolute dud. 45-17, Washington pounding Washington State in the Apple Cup. They had only one loss. That was on November 12th, the home loss to USC, 26-13. But other than that, they ran the board, and it was an amazing season for Chris Peterson and company, and Jake Browning and Myles Gaskin. What a job they did. They have Colorado tomorrow night for the Pac-12 championship. Tough game. I think they're on the highest of upset alerts, if I'm going to be real honest with you, because Colorado is a great team, and watch out for them. Don't sleep on Colorado. And if they pull that upset, that will benefit Michigan big time, because I think Michigan could end up sneaking in if that happens. So we'll see. So with that being said, number 4, Washington Huskies. MF, let's bring you back on in. You're number 4.
Washington, no doubt about it. You guys made all the arguments for it, so there's really nothing more to say. Does Mike Bullock have to jump in on 4?
No, he's no, since he came in late.
He's abstaining?
Yeah, he
Okay.
said he pretty much agreed with us anyway. So
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll finish it off.
Yes.
Number 3, Clemson. There's no doubt about this. They're definitely right there, right in the mix. They've had an unbelievable season. I think we can all agree with that. They've answered the bell on every turn that they needed to do. There was only one mistake that they had early in the season, which was that inexplicable upset when they lost by 1 point to Pittsburgh. That was at 40. I think it was the 43-42 game, and they didn't get punished that badly. They've won all the games from there on in pretty handily, and now here they are, 1 win away from making the college football playoff, the ACC title. Nothing more to say. So my number 3 is the Clemson Tigers. Anthony, it's yours.
right there with you again. Number 3, Clemson Tigers. Another great year for them. 11-1 overall, 7-1 in the ACC. They won it by virtue of they had the tiebreaker over Louisville by virtue of their win over Louisville back on October the 1st. That 42-36 5-star shootout on that Saturday night in Death Valley. Last time we saw them, they pounded South Carolina 56-7. Their only loss, like MF said, was back on November 12th. That demoralizing 43-42 loss to Pittsburgh. That was also on a walk-off field goal. Craziest Saturday of college football I ever saw, no doubt about it. They go up against Virginia Tech for the ACC championship at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. I got them winning that thing. They should have no trouble with Vatech, honestly. So that's really all there is to say on that. So number 2, of course, we have co-number 2s, as you know. First number 2, of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Another great year for Urban Meyer and company. They finished the year 11-1, 8-1 in the Big Ten. They did lose the tiebreaker to Penn State because they lost to Penn State back on October 22nd. They beat Michigan in the greatest Michigan-Ohio State game ever, 30-27 in double overtime. The only loss, of course, Penn State, as you know. We'll next see them most likely on New Year's Eve because as of now, they're in the field of 4. They win it in double overtime on a walk-off touchdown by Curtis Samuel, and there they are. They're in prime position. We'll most likely see them on New Year's Eve. Who they'll go up against, we don't know. As of now, it's Clemson, but we're going to have to wait and see. The selection show for the college football playoff will be this Sunday, December the 4th at high noon. It's going to be a 4-hour show, which I think is a little bit too long, but 1 hour would have been fine, but that's just me. So first number 2 is Ohio State. The other number 2, of course, the Western Michigan Broncos, 12-0 overall, 8-0 in the MAC West, in the MAC conference. They won the West. They beat Toledo 55-35. They play Ohio for the MAC title tonight at Ford Field in Detroit. I think they'll win that, and that's pretty much it. So number 2s, Ohio State and Western Michigan. MF, number 2.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ohio State, Western Michigan, both number 2, goes in the number 1, which is Alabama. Unanimous pick for me. They only got one game they got to worry about, the SEC championship game at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta this Saturday afternoon when they play against Florida. Then basically they sit by and they got to wait and see who are they going to face in the college football playoff. If they should win, they'll clearly be the number 1 overall going in, and they'll play whoever the number 4 is. Right now it's Washington. If they trip up, could it be Michigan? Could it be one of the Big Ten winners? Could it be Oklahoma because they have an argument? Could it be Colorado? There's going to be a lot of discussion on who that 4th team's going to be, but if they lose, how far do they drop? Do they drop to number 2? Then where they fall in that situation? So there's definitely going to be a lot of moving parts here, but clearly Alabama is number 1. They're the class of the college football this season, and they win or lose, they're obviously going to be in the college football playoff on playing on New Year's Eve. It's just where are they going to be and who they going to face that's going to be basically the big question more than anything else. So, Anthony, it's yours.
We'll finish it off by saying, number 1, yet again, it is your reigning, defending, undisputed college football playoff national champion, the the Alabama Crimson Tide. And let me just say it like this, folks. But for the second time in 3 years on this show, we had a team go wire to wire, number 1 in our power poll. 2 years ago, it was the Florida State Seminoles. They ran the table in the power poll in 2014. This year, it's the Alabama Crimson Tide. They go all the way. Number 1 each and every week in our college football power poll. That's unprecedented. Last year, we had several number 1 teams. This year, for the second time in 3 years, we have a team go wire to wire the whole way. They finished the year 12-0 overall, 8-0 in the SEC. They had no trouble whatsoever with Auburn in the Iron Bowl, a very disappointing Iron Bowl, considering what we saw in 2013 and 2014, the 2 greatest Iron Bowls ever. The last 2, honestly, have been kind of disappointing, honestly. But they took care of everything. They had a very tough Murderer's Row schedule in October, and they passed that with flying colors. I'm not at all surprised by that. And now they go up against Florida for the SEC championship Saturday afternoon, the Georgia Dome. Huge. They're the biggest favorite of the week, 24-point favorite. They should have no trouble with the Gators whatsoever. And a win, no doubt about it. We'll see them on New Year's Eve in the college football playoff semifinal. As of now, it's Washington. But if Washington should get upset and tripped up by Colorado, that opens the door for anybody to assume that number 4 spot. And remember, a reminder, this Sunday, December the 4th at high noon on ESPN, 4-hour broadcast, the official selection show for the college football playoff. Check it out if you can. I know it's going to be tough with all the NFL action on Sunday. I get it. But check it out anyway. If you want to find out if your team ends up in the top 4, we'll find out. We'll all find out soon enough come Sunday afternoon. So, all right, that's going to put the bow on this season finale of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. We want to take a moment and thank all of you wonderful fans out there for watching this show all season long. From our predictions to our power polls, occasional rants, and the whole 9 yards. You fans, you made it all possible, and we can't do this without you, and you are the best fans in the world. So we appreciate it all very much, and we look forward to doing it all again next year. So, but we're not done with college football yet. There's one game left But we're going to save that for next week on NFL Friday. We're going to combine it. It's going to be a Football Friday show next week because we're going to talk about, for the first time ever, the most prestigious game in all of college football, the Army-Navy game. Oh, boy, we're going to have some fun with that next week. You better believe that. So that will do it. So upcoming content, of course, tomorrow night we got NFL Friday. We'll run down the rest of the action for week 13. We'll also talk about the Dallas Cowboys victory over the Minnesota Vikings tonight on Thursday Night Football. They beat the Vikings 17-15, 11 in a row for the Cowboys.
And a great game too. Great game too.
Yes, indeed. And we'll get into that tomorrow night, no doubt about it. We'll also preview the remaining action of Week 13. We'll have our newest power rankings. You already know who number one is, so I don't even think you need a spoiler alert. You already know who number one is yet again. In fact, they're going to be number one for the next 2 weeks because of this win tonight. So, remember, the power rankings carry over to the prior week, so let's not forget that. So that's tomorrow night. Saturday night, yes, I will be hosting.
No, you're not. I'm back in. I'm hosting. I'll be taking over.
Wonderful. Do you have a time set for that?
Right now I don't. It's kind of tentative for 10:30, but if you gentlemen need more time, I'm willing to give you at least 11 o'clock. Right now, I can't go no more than 11, but I'm willing to do 11 o'clock. It's totally up to you, gentlemen.
Anytime's good for me because you know me, I got nothing to do on Saturday night. Come on.
Yeah.
10:30 is good for me as well.
10:30 is good for you, Bullock?
Okay.
Because I know you're always the exception to the rules. So because I know you're always out and about with doing many different things. But if you're good with 10:30, then
10:30 is good.
All right, then it's official. 10:30, Brace Fan 95.
All right, 10:30 Saturday night, Brace Fan 95. Good Old MF will host it because it is a SmackDown Live exclusive event. Tables, ladders, and chairs. We'll preview it all. We'll go down all the matches. Look forward to that on Saturday night at 10:30. And then Sunday night, immediately following the event, once again, go over to MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. The three of us, maybe Dede Woodson will be with us, as we will have our complete recap of TLC. And then Monday night, following Raw, of course, we got Ridiculously Raw, as we continue continue on the road to Roadblock, end of the line. We'll review that Monday Night Raw, and I will also have not one but two Tony's Takes. The premiere edition of 205 Live, which featured Rich Swann becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion. Knock talk about that. And then, of course, Impact Wrestling from earlier tonight, which I saw. So, including a historic Knockouts Championship match for the ages. I'll tell you that right now. So, what a fight that was, I'll tell you. And then Tuesday night, Cerebral Smack Talk. MF will have that. We'll sort out the fallout from TLC. Hopefully, we'll get a Mikey's Mindset in there this time around. We had to cancel that out due to time constraints on Tuesday night because of the technical glitches. But thankfully, we're running. ROH, Lucha Underground, maybe some other things if MF has it. We'll see. So, and then it's back to NFL Friday. Or Football Friday for next week for this case because we're going to talk about Army and Navy. So, all right, that'll do it for this. So, once again, thank you all very much for watching, not just tonight, but all season long on our third season of College Football Thursday. It's a wrap. We look forward to bringing you another great season next year, and that's it. So until tomorrow night for NFL Friday, it's Anthony Florio here for Good Old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Derek Ferreira and Dede Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for NFL Friday, you've been watching the season finale of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For now, Anthony Florio, so long.